Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to talk about the squat, how to do it, the proper way to regress it, the proper way to progress it before we get started. Well, guys, thank you again for joining us. Let's talk about the squat, okay? A lot of times people don't know exactly what to do. Everyone's squat is completely different. Everyone's hips are completely different. Everyone's injuries are completely different. Their exercise levels are completely different. So for me just to say, hey, let's do some squats, well, let's dial in a little bit more into how you should or can do a little bit better. I like assuming that most of us have never worked out before, okay? And then from there, I can move up and I progress from there. But for the most part, if you're watching this video, you probably clicked it because you probably don't have any idea how to properly squat. So what I'm gonna tell you right now, it's the simplest thing that you can do, and that's find one piece of equipment, and that's called a box. Now, not saying you need a box. You can use a chair. You can use your couch. You can use anything that you have around you that gives you at least a 90-degree angle of here. So, which means I'm gonna sit down. If you can tell, this is a tumbling mat, right? That's what we have for the kids. But kind of keeps me about, I don't know, this is probably 18 inches off the ground, maybe a little lower. I'm not exactly sure, but it keeps me in a seated position. Now, all a squat is, and people always say, oh, I never squat before. Squats make my knees hurt. We squat every day, right? What does this look like? When you sit at your desk, when you go to the bathroom, right? When you're eating dinner, this is a chair. Now all you do is stand up, right? So for you to say that you don't squat, you squat every single day. So why is it important to build up your squat? Is because you do it every single day. So that's what we want to make sure we do. So that was the variation of the squat that I want to start with, okay? So for those guys that are just joining us or maybe never squatted before, first things first, you're gonna find your feet position. Find your foot position. So for me, I like to find what's comfortable with my hips. A lot of people you'll see get into it because maybe they take yoga classes or Pilates or something, and they always say, you know, feet hip width, toes pointed straight, make sure it stands up and it's good. It's a good way to control a hip hinge maybe, but I think everyone's hips are different, so mine kind of angle out this way. This is what feels the most comfortable. So I want to squat in a pattern that's going to make my hips open, make my back stay in line. So for me, toes slightly pointed out, feet about hip width, maybe a little wider. I don't want to go too wide for me, but I kind of find what's the most comfortable. Now from here, hands, right? I can use my hands on my legs if I need to, but I'm just going to drive my heels and big toes into the ground, and then I'm going to rock and then stand up. Now to go back, I just want to push my butt back a little bit, all right? A lot of people, what they do is they bend their knees first to squat. You don't want to do that because that's going to hurt the knees. I want to use my hip correctly. So I'm going to push my butt back a little bit, sit back down, counterbalance with my hands, stand back up. Again, I'm going to cut myself at the hip. So this crease point here, right? I'm just going to pop, and now I'm going to lower myself down, sitting on my heels, and then stand back up. So notice my feet did not move. I'm really grabbing the floor with my feet. So my heels are down, I'm pushing my big toes into the floor, and then sit, control, and then stand back up. And that is your basic box squat. But notice the tempo I'm doing. I'm trying to go as lightly as I can. So that's number two, is adding that tempo and control, right? I'm trying to get as controlled as I can inside the squat rather than just, okay, let me get 30 squats, and it kind of just looks like that. You know, that's why your knees hurt, is because you're just doing a very quad dominant exercise. If you give me sideways, a lot of people squat like this, right? So they sit, it's like, I can't squat deeper. Yeah, you can, because you're just bending here. You're not efficiently using your body. So from here, I'll turn this way, right? So from here, I want to push my butt back and then fall into my squat. And then when I find that challenge inside the lower back, then I'll come out of it. But like I said, let's start with the regression, which is just the box squat. Butt back, stand, right back up. Now, how would you progress that? I'll go a little bit lighter, which means I'll try to not fall back and sit, right? I want to lightly, like this is made out of glass or like a thin sheet of ice, and I don't want to break it, then I'll stand out of it. So I'm still finding that position, rocking back slightly, then I'll stand out of it. Now, as I get better there, now maybe I can eliminate the box. But what I would do is get something to hold on to just in case. Okay, because you want to counterbalance the movement, which means if my body's now going to sit back, a lot of the weight's going to go back, so I don't know what to do. So some people will fall back, which is okay, all right? But the main thing here is maybe hold onto the wall, hold onto your couch, leg, table. Now I want to push my butt back, control, and now I can stand up. So I'm just using this as a prop to kind of keep my balance as I get into my squat. Butt back, sit. Now I'm doing a body weight squat with some help of a prop, and that's just the way it builds up. Now from there, now maybe you can go into body weight squat without it. Sit down, trying to find that range that's at 90 or breaking, and stand back up and squeeze. Okay, so the biggest things that I want you to take away from the squat is find your foot position. What feels best? For me, again, about hip width, maybe shoulder width, toes slightly pointed out. I do not like them being straight because now my knees are gonna buckle in immediately. I just like to loosen up, relax, take a couple breaths, and then find that stance. That's my stance. Now from here, number 2, heels and big toe into the ground, hips back. Now I'll fall into my squat, find the range that's best, stand up, squeeze my glutes at the top. That's literally it. Now for breathing, if you want to think about that, breath in, hold, breathe out. So whenever it's the hardest part is usually when I exert my air, which means I want to breathe out there. So here, I'm going to stay tight, hold, breathe out. That's a squat. All right, so try different variations out at home. Make sure you find what's best for you. Okay, not best like what I told you. If you don't like it, explore. Find the squat that feels best. Start off on the easier side and then start building up, because we are going to, it is a great movement to build up strength. Not only that, you do it every day. So you got to start working the muscles that should be working inside the positions that you're going to be in most of the time. All right, I'll see you guys later. This is Coach Pete. Thank you guys for joining us, and I'll see you guys later.